star athlete seems to have it all, fame, talent, and wealth, then throws it all away in an instant. It leaves us wondering how it all went wrong. Latrell Sprewell was one of the NBA's most exciting players in the late 90s. Known for his fierce competitiveness and incredible athleticism, Sprewell was expected to be one of the league's future superstars. But hidden behind his talent was a temper that would eventually destroy his career. His downfall was caused by a single violent act that shocked the sports world and left a permanent mark on his legacy. Now imagine this. It's the late 90s, the NBA is on fire. The league is full of big personalities, fierce competition, and the crowd's energy can practically be felt in your bones. The game was fast, aggressive, and players like Sprewell were dominating. But behind that tough appearance, there was a ticking time bomb, a temper that could explode at any moment, changing everything. And one night in 1997, that bomb went off, and the shockwave would be felt across the entire NBA. Hold up, pal, don't jump to conclusions just yet. I'm going to walk you through the full story. These allegations didn't just come out of the blue. But before I take the next 10 minutes of your time talking about all these issues and controversies, there's one favor I need you to do first. Hit that like button. Seriously, it's important. Liking this video signals to YouTube that you're enjoying the content, unlike the relationship between Sprewell and his coach. Wait, that's a spoiler. By liking the video, you help get my content to a wider audience. Now let's get into it. Latrell Sprewell. Known for his heart-pounding strength and fearless attitude, he made a name for himself with the Golden State Warriors. Sprewell was one of those players that made you say, wow. He had the speed, the handles, the slam dunks, the ability to turn the game on its head with one fiery play. But despite all that raw talent, he had a temper that couldn't stay hidden for long. Yeah, he was one of the most talented players of his time, but his attitude, that's a different story. He wasn't just about basketball, he was about his pride. And for better or worse, that pride would define his downfall. One fateful night in December 1997, during a practice session with the Golden State Warriors, Coach P.J. Carlesimo pushed Sprewell to work harder. Carlesimo had been trying to get Sprewell to focus more during drills, but the pressure seemed to set Sprewell off. Instead of responding with frustration or defiance, Latrell's anger exploded. He snapped. He didn't just throw a punch or shout. No, he took it much farther. In a shocking moment, he grabbed his coach by the throat and choked him. The scene was chaotic as players and staff rushed to break up the fight. The act was so violent and unexpected that it stunned everyone in the room, leaving many questioning how a player with so much potential could react like that. The incident sent shockwaves through the NBA and beyond. It was a moment that defined Sprewell's career, and not in the way he had hoped. The reaction was instant. The entire arena froze. Fans, teammates, even the Warriors' management and media alike struggled to make sense of what had just happened, and were left in complete disbelief. How could a player who had shown so much promise lose control like this? How could someone with such a bright future go from being a fan favorite to an instant villain? The NBA was rocked to its core, and Latrell's career took a nosedive. And here's where it gets really crazy. This wasn't some emotional outburst that could be shrugged off. No, this act of violence was a red flag, a signal of deeper issues at play. Not just for Latrell, but for the Warriors as a team. This wasn't just a moment of weakness. It was a tragic, irreversible turning point. Fans and teammates alike started to wonder, had Latrell's anger always been lurking beneath the surface? Let's take a step back and think about what was happening in Latrell's life before this moment. The pressure on him was building. He had gone from a star player with big potential to a star who had to live up to those high expectations. Every game was a battle, not just against the opposing team, but against his own emotions. He had dealt with a lot, from personal issues to being constantly in the media spotlight. But nothing could have prepared him for the consequences of that one explosive moment. And then, it only got worse. Latrell was suspended for 10 games. The Warriors fined him $1 million. The fans, once cheering for him, now turned on him. The fallout from the choking incident lasted much longer than anyone could have imagined. The suspension, The fine and the negative press quickly took a toll on Sprewell's reputation. What had once been a promising future filled with endorsement deals, all-star appearances, and championship aspirations quickly turned into a cautionary tale. People started to question his character, his leadership, and his ability to control his temper. Instead of being remembered for his fearless, aggressive play on the court, he would now be remembered for this violent outburst. The fall from grace wasn't just about basketball. Latrell's actions would now be a part of his legacy, a story of a star athlete whose own anger took him down. His career and personal life would never be the same. From being a star on the rise to becoming viewed as a violent and unpredictable player, Latrell Sprewell's downfall left a lasting impact on the NBA and on everyone who had ever admired him. But let's not pretend that this was the only issue Latrell had to deal with. If we're being honest, this wasn't his first run-in with trouble. He had been known for his fiery temper and had clashed with teammates and coaches in the past, and even his family. But this time, it was different. This time, it wasn't just a disagreement or a moment of frustration. This time, it was violence, and no amount of talent could erase that. Beyond the basketball court, Sprewell faced struggles with his personal life, including financial troubles and the toll that his fiery temper continued to take on his relationships. So how did it all end for Latrell? After the 1997 incident, Sprewell's career never fully recovered. His career would never be the same. While he did manage to continue playing in the NBA, the damage was already done. No matter where he went, whether it was the New York Knicks or the Minnesota Timberwolves, the shadow of that fateful moment in Golden State would always follow him. He had brief moments of success after leaving the Warriors, including a memorable stint with the Knicks that took him to the NBA Finals in 1999. But for all his individual success, he could never escape the reputation he had earned after choking his coach. Fans and analysts alike struggled to reconcile the player they had once adored with the player they saw in the headlines. Sprewell continued to play at a high level for several more seasons, but the NBA no longer saw him as a future superstar. His unpredictable behavior, combined with the lingering memory of his infamous outburst, held him back and limited his potential. He was no longer the player who could lead a team to a championship. He had become a warning to others, a player whose career was always overshadowed by his personal struggles. The rest of Sprewell's career was marked by tension and uncertainty. He played for the Knicks and the Minnesota Timberwolves, but his relationship with coaches, teammates, and management was always strained. Teams were always wary of his temper, and as a result, his opportunities began to shrink. He was no longer seen as the bright young star he once was. He had become a player known more for his outbursts than for his talents on the court. Even when Sprewell was playing well, the shadow of his 1997 incident loomed over him. Fans, analysts, and even his peers saw him as a risk. No matter how good he played, Sprewell would always be remembered for the time he choked his coach. In the years following his retirement, Sprewell became a cautionary figure, not just for his actions on the court, but for the broader consequences of unchecked emotions. His story serves as a reminder that talent alone isn't enough to guarantee success. In the end, Latrell Sprewell's story serves as a painful reminder that even the greatest athletes can fall from grace. It shows that no matter how much talent you have, one moment of weakness, one bad decision can change everything. And for Latrell, that moment came when he let his anger get the best of him. But here's the thing. Latrell's story is far from just a tragedy. It's a lesson for every athlete, every fan, and every person who's ever felt like they're on top of the world. No matter how high you climb, one bad decision can bring it all crashing down. And while Latrell's career may never have fully recovered, his story remains a powerful reminder of how quickly things can change. While we may never know what his career could have looked like without that fateful decision, his story stands as a powerful lesson in the dangers of losing control. If you're still with me, you, my friend, is a legend. Don't forget to like and subscribe because you don't want to miss what's coming next. Until next time, goodbye.